Hello coders, welcome to Level Up with Coding. Today I will be discussing the problem number 1614, maximum nesting depth of the parenthesis, which is also part of today's daily challenge. Let's understand what the problem is. Okay. The problem states that you have given a valid parenthesis string, means VPS. But what is valid parenthesis string? A valid parenthesis string means you have equal numbers of open bracket and equal number of close bracket in the string, and in between there are some other character, and there can be some number and some arithmetic operators like plus, minus, multiplication, divisions. Okay, but what the problem state that you have to found what is the maximum depth of a particular number. That means if you have given that there is 2 and one open bracket and one close bracket, this means this is a valid parenthesis. But what have to written, what is the maximum depth of the valid parenthesis? For that case the depth is 1, because there is only one open parenthesis, then the number, and then again one close, and it is mentioned that the given string is always valid. Okay, if there is an empty string, this is also valid. That means there is an empty string. For that case the maximum depth is 0. Okay, but what happened if there is two valid string? That means one valid string plus again there is an one valid string. Okay, then the maximum depth will be max depth of both string. That means for the first one the max depth is 2, because there is 2 open bracket and then 2 close bracket. That means for reaching that positions we have to cover 2 parentheses. For that case depth is 2, but for the second case the depth is 3, because we can reach in that position by using 3 open bracket, right? And for that case the depth is 3, so the maximum depth will be maximum of 2 and 3 for that case. Okay, maximum of 2 and 3, but for that string the result will be 3. I think the problem is clear now. You have a given a valid string and you have to return what is the maximum depth of that valid string. Okay, let's understand how we approach the problem. As it is mentioned that the string will be always valid. Okay, so what I have to do, we have to return what is the maximum depth of that string. Okay, for that case the depth is 2. So how we will solve? We can use a stack. How we will stack? Whenever we see there is an open bracket, we just push them, and we always maintain a variable which is check what is the length of the stack. Because if we push one open bracket, that means the valid string length is 1. Current now this is not valid, but I can assume that there will be one close bracket, because it is mentioned that it always valid. Like, because if there is a string like that and in between them there is x, if we push the first open bracket, and we can say that valid string is 1, because whenever we see the close bracket we just remove from the stack. Okay, and for that case we again see an open bracket, so we again push them in stack. But whenever we see another character rather than bracket, we just ignore them, because we have to just find what is the maximum depth. Okay, we don't need to take care of any other thing, so we just keep them. But whenever we see a close bracket we just have to remove. But before removing that, okay, we have to always maintain what is the maximum depth of the stack. That means for that case the maximum depth is now 2. Okay, but whenever see a close bracket we just remove them. Okay, then again we see a close bracket we just remove them. Now what is the maximum depth of my stack? It is 2, so for that case the result is also 2. Okay, makes sense, right? And now see the example, and for the first example there is a valid string. So as I mentioned, we have use a stack. How we will use a stack? Whenever we see open bracket, we just push them. Now we have seen there is an open bracket, we push them, and I can say that my maximum depth is now 1. Now again I have seen a plus, we just ignore them, and whenever I see another open bracket, we just push them. Now my max depth is now becomes 2. But whenever I see other character like 2 star 3, we just ignore them because we don't need to take care of any other things. We just need to take care of depth, right? But whenever see in close bracket, we just have to remove them. So I just have to remove my stack by 1. Okay. Then whenever see an plus, I just ignore them. But whenever I see an open bracket again, I just push them, and I also check what is the maximum depth. Now my stack. Now my stack depth is 2, and I can update my stack depth, like what is the maximum. Like for that case 2, and my stack is now 2. We don't have to update them. Like whenever I go next, I have seen there is an open bracket, so I just push them. But my stack depth is 3, and my current depth is 2, so I have to update. Okay, because this can be max. But whenever you see is 8, we just ignore. Then whenever we see the close, we just have to remove. Now my stack depth is 2, but my current depth is 3. So this is smaller, so we don't have to update them, because there is a situation when my depth is greater than my current depth, so we don't have to uh, update them, because I have to return what is the maximum depth at any position, right? Now we just ignore division and 4, but whenever I see the close bracket, we just have to remove them from the stack. So now my stack length become now 1. Okay, but we don't have to update them because my depth is 3. And now again whenever I see another close bracket, we just have to remove. Now my stacks become empty and my length is now 0. Okay, and we don't have to again remove them because my current depth is already bigger than. That means I have already found at some positions where my max depth is greater than my current position. Now I just ignore plus and 1 because we don't have to care. Okay, so what is the answer? For that case the answer is 3 because my maximum depth is 3. So this is the answer. Okay, and similarly for the second case, we can use the same method and we can find that the answer will be 3. Okay, what am I doing for that case? I am using a stack. Whenever I see an open bracket, I just push them in my stack. Whenever I see a close bracket, I just pop them. And for every time I am checking what is the depth of my stack. Okay, and as per the depth, I will try to update what is the maximum depth of my stack, and the maximum depth of the stack will be my answer. I think the approach is clear. Okay, and for that approach, what I am doing for that case, as I using a stack, okay, for solving the problem, so I am using an extra page. So the page complexity for that problem is big of n, and as I am iterating through all the character in my string, so the time complexity will be also big of n. So I can try to reduce the space complexity. How? As we don't have to take care of that what is the element right now, because whenever we see the open bracket, we just push in my stack, and whenever we see an close bracket, we just pop. Okay, and at every moment we are using what is the depth of my current stack, and as per the depth of current stack, we just update the value of maximum depth, and this is my answer. Okay, but we can remove the extra space. How? As we don't have to take care of that what is my stack element, so what we can do, if there is a valid string, so instead of pushing the character in stack, we can use another variable. Let's say this is current. Okay, whenever you see an open bracket, we just increase my current value. Now my current will be 1. Whenever we see another open bracket, we just increase my current value. Now my current is 2, and we always check what is the maximum depth. That means we always try to find what is the maximum value of current. Okay, now my maximum value is current. I can say that maximum depth is 2 right now. I can say that maximum depth is 2, but whenever we see in close bracket, we just reduce my current by 1. Whenever I see in close bracket, my current now become 1. Whenever I see again in close bracket, my current is now 0. Okay, so in that way we have to find what is the maximum value of current, and this will be my answer. Okay, and using that approach we can remove the extra space stuff, right? And using that approach, the time complexity will be again order of n, because as I am iterating through all the character in my string, and the space complexity is order of 1, because I just using some variable, not using any extra space. Like before I am using stack, but I am not using anything. Now let's move to the code editor part, how we will implement the things. Okay, now what I am doing, I just using two variable. One is for my current length, and one is for overall depth. What is the maximum depth will be. Okay, and I will iterate through all the character in my string. Okay, but whenever we see that my current character is equal to open bracket, I just simply increase my current value. Okay, and if I see that my current value is equal to closing bracket, that means I have to decrease the current value, and each time I will try to find what is the maximum depth right now. Now maximum depth is my previous depth and my current depth. Okay, and at the last I have to return what is the depth of the valid string. Okay, at any moment. That means at any moment what is the maximum depth will be. Okay, and I have to at last I have to return the depth. Okay, this is a simple easy problem. Now just we have to submit, and let's see what will be. Let's submit the solution. It accepted. Let's submit it. Yeah, it beat 100%. Okay, I think the problem is now clear. Okay, how we'll approach and how we'll come with brute force to optimal. In case you understand the solution part, make sure you subscribe the channel and share with your friends, and stay connected with us. Thank you.